Welcome to the True Grime Stories podcast, where in every episode, we'll unravel a new mystery of cleaning business transformation from a grimy mess to a great success. Join me, your host, Jeannie Henderson, as together we dig up cleaning business secrets that you've been dying to know. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of True Grime Stories. I'm your host, Jeannie Henderson, and this is a great day to be here because you're going to want to hear the grime story we're going to share. I have one of my friends with me today, Keely Graves, and Keely is in Bismarck, North Dakota, and has her Keely's Cleaning Crew business there. She started it back in 2014 when she was switching jobs. Because she needed to take care of her son who was dealing with some health challenges. And the cleaning business afforded her that opportunity to, have a flexible schedule. And I think a lot of us have, a story like that where we have a life change that happens. And the cleaning business gives us that opportunity to be home with our kids or, take care of a family member. So that's great to understand. Many of us end up in that way. And she has built her business over several years. And even though Bismarck isn't, this huge town, she's been able to build a big business there and is serving over 300 clients today. And she has the core value of people over profits. I love that. And so she, in addition to providing great service, she also provides great jobs for her team. And she takes great pride in that. So welcome, Keely. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm excited about this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So Keely and I go back a couple of years. She was in a coaching group with me, and I knew right away when I met her, like, ooh, this girl's going to do something. It's amazing. And she really has. She's doubled her business in the last couple of years. That's a huge feat. And so congratulations on that. And I'm sure that took a lot of work.
It did. Absolutely. Like nothing happens overnight and just takes a lot of hard work and determination and a great team behind you.
Yeah, right. That's such an important thing. So when you first started out, you started out, your son was, you were going through lots of medical treatment with your son and things like that. What was it like starting your business at that time? Was it just you cleaning or did you have other people with you?
Yeah, no, it was just me. When I started the business, I had no intention of hiring and having employees and nothing like that. It kind of all happened by accident. I had others reach out to me in similar situations that needed to care for children or be home for the bus. And, we're very rural where we're at. And so their daycare is hard. And so there's a lot of people that don't have the option of having daycare after school, or after the kiddos get off the bus. So I had others reach out to me looking for employment, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Wow. Yeah. And I love that you use the word accidental because so many of us are accidental entrepreneurs. We thought we're just getting a job for ourselves and it ends up growing into a business. And in your case, a thriving business.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there were some challenges along the way. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Every milestone you meet creates a whole new, challenge. Like Debbie says, there's a devil at every level, and there is so much truth to that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I even find that today, it doesn't matter what that new level is, there is definitely a devil waiting there for you.
Yep.
You think, well, you get to a certain point and you're not dealing with that anymore, like when you're an absentee business owner. But no, there's still challenges. Sorry, everyone.
Yep.
They don't go away. Whether you have a, $500,000 business, $1 million business, or a $5 million business, there will be challenges. And that's what we're all about here at True Grime Stories, because we're all about proving that they're going to be there, but we can overcome them. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, sharing those solutions with people. So when you first got started out, like, what was your team growth like? At what point did you start having people working with you?
Yeah. So when I started in 2014, I cleaned independently by myself for, I would say, the first 3 years. And then, like I said, had people reach out to me, and I just grew as they came. I wasn't advertising for employees. I wasn't looking to grow. happened on its own. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago when I joined CBF that I was really in a point where I was thinking, okay, I either need to go big or go home. It was one of those where I
Mhm.
was, as many business owners do, you wear many hats, and it was just getting overwhelming, and I couldn't do it all by myself anymore. So I was at the point where I either needed to promote or bring someone else on, um, in order to grow. So yeah.
Well, and a lot of cleaning business owners hit that spot. It's kinda like hit a wall where it's like either I'm gonna grow past this or I'm going backwards.
Yep.
And oftentimes we see people going backwards. I remember meeting a cleaning business owner in my area many years ago, and I think I had like 10 or 12 team members at the time. And she goes, "Oh, I used to have 15, but I'm never doing that again." She said, "I'm never doing that again." And she's down to about 6 or 8 people. Like that was manageable for her. She never wanted to grow beyond that, where I was like, "Nope, I'm pushing past it."
Yep.
So yeah, but that a lot of us run into that. So that's a really great it's great that you brought that up because I think sometimes people think it's just them.
Yeah.
It's
And it was hard for me to think about having somebody else on the team that wasn't income producing, and being responsible for that income, and their wages and things. And so that was a huge step for me because prior to that, they're making their own wage. So
Mhm.
that was hard for me at first.
That's a big scary step right there to
Mhm.
trust that you're gonna be able to expand beyond to grow your income enough to then pay for another person who isn't actually out there generating revenue.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. So, obviously you're growing your business, and over the last couple years, growing leaps and bounds. We like to talk about the grime here. We like to dig deep into some really grimy time that you had to get through. So, thinking back, what's one grime scene that happened in your life, in your business, that you figured out how to overcome?
Yeah, it kind of all ties back to my son. I mean, he's the reason that I started the business, and he has watched me grow throughout the years. And I think one of the big steps for me, and I even get emotional talking about it because he would see me working night and day and past the
Mm.
hours, and it got to the point where and don't get me wrong, there were moments that he was very proud of me, and I could tell, mom's employees and mom's office and mom's clients and stuff. But there was also times where he saw like I was working all the time, and so in the evenings he'd want to do something fun and I wasn't available to do it because there had to be payroll to do or scheduling or invoicing or
Mm.
whatever the case is. And so, seeing him grow with me throughout the business is really like what was my time where I was like, I need to be able to spend more time with him. And we all grow a business and have a business to have that flexibility and the freedom, and I wasn't having that at all.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, and it, I mean, I don't know about you, but I love running a business, like it's fun, it's
mhm.
exciting. I'm like winning a game every day, like fighting and I'm competitive.
Yep.
But you started it so you could have more time, right, for him, and then you find yourself, pulled in that direction. So that's something that we often many of us run into. Lots of us are moms who start these businesses, and so I'm really glad that you brought that up because it's a one of those things that pulls at your heartstrings when your child is like, "Mom, I want you to spend some time with me." And you're like, "But wait, I have to get payroll out because if I don't pay my employees, they won't show up tomorrow."
Yep.
So
Yeah, and
there
it's
you
funny,
are. Yeah.
because throughout the years, he's watched it. And so I do have a really funny story that I would like to
Mhm.
share if
Oh,
that's.
yeah.
So, we have a small building on our property. My husband and I, we live in the country, and we have animals and things and horses, and so we had a small building on our property, and we moved it, and we are building it into a bunkhouse. And so, with my son's health problems, we're not sure what the future holds for him and if he will be able to live on his own at some point. He's
Mhm.
very functioning, very capable, so not saying he won't, but just planning ahead to have that space if he needs it. And so
Right.
he had asked me one day when we were driving, he said, "Mom, where am I going to live when I get older?" And I said, "Well, you can live anywhere you want, but if you want to live, that bunkhouse is yours. You can call it your house if you want." He goes, "Oh," he's thinking, and you could really see the wheels turning. He goes, "So I'm going to run the cleaning business from that bunkhouse?"
Oh,
I was like, "Yes, if that is what you want, absolutely."
oh, I
So,
just
and
got
this
goosebumps when
was
you
for
told me that. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. He just assumed, like,
yeah. He's like, "That's what I'm gonna do,"
that's
and
my
I mean,
job.
his mind can change 37 times by that time, but, it was really heartfelt because he's like,
Oh,
"That's what mom did, that's what I'm gonna do," so,
yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Told you, I get
story.
emotional too.
Yeah. Yeah, but isn't it great? They are watching. Our
Mhm.
children are watching us. And our employees are watching us too, and they learn from watching what we do, and we don't realize the lessons we're teaching them, like, all the time with everything that we do, and I'm sure he's so proud of the business that, he's watched you build from the very beginning,
Yeah,
um, and to know that he was the inspiration, that.
absolutely, he was 100%.
Yeah, oh, I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That
Yeah.
was wow, that was good. That's gonna stick with me for a while. Um, so, here you are, you realize like, oh my gosh, I've built this giant business that, or busy, business that I have to like constantly be running. I have got to find a solution, right?
Mhm.
To get more time for the thing that, for the reason that I started it.
Yep.
So, what were some of the things or what's one thing that like really turned that around for you so that you were able to spend more time with your family?
I feel like, we're still getting there and, there's always leaps and bounds, but I think
Mhm.
is one of the big things is really having the right people in the right places and being able to trust on your team and being able to delegate and understand that, it may not be, done is better than perfect is what, I've heard so many times. And I am a perfectionist at heart. And so I, do get caught up in trying to make sure something's perfect before rolling it out. But you're always growing and you're always like learning. And so I think that is one of the biggest things that stuck with me is having the faith in others and really being able to trust your team.
Well, and this is an area that I see entrepreneurs suffer, like, not suffer, but like that they're challenged with it, but it does cause suffering for them and their family because they can't let go.
Mhm.
They're like holding so tightly onto these tasks that they think they're the only ones who can do that, or they don't want someone else to make a mistake,
Right.
you know?
I
When
think my
Terry
biggest fear is that
Yeah.
have them make a mistake and feel like it's still my problem because I didn't lead them or train them correctly. Not at their fault that they made a mistake, but I take things so personal. And so that is something
Right.
that I have really tried in the last several years to work on myself on.
Yeah, that's a big step.
Mhm.
Is letting go of something, letting trusting it into someone else's hands, being able to trust parts of your business to people. But you mentioned something, right as you were starting to talk about this, is right people, right seat.
Mhm.
And I see this so often. Like sometimes people just by default put someone in a seat because they have that person available, but they aren't necessarily the right person. I know I did that early on. I had somebody who had been cleaning like half of her adult life and she just couldn't clean anymore.
Yep.
And I
I
kept trying to put her in a seat.
Yep, I'm guilty of the same thing. So yeah. And it's taken a couple of lessons to learn that not everybody is good at everything. And it's, at no fault of theirs and it's nothing
Mhm.
against them. It's just, my family and us, we're such go-getters and we just figure it out and find a way to get it done no matter what it takes. And that's not everybody, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah. And it is. It's hard. Most people don't have that entrepreneurial spirit that
Mhm.
they're going to be able to do it. Could you share like an example of like when you put somebody in the wrong seat?
Yeah, I had a cleaner that was with me for 3 years, 3.5 years, and chose another career to because she had a back injury, not at work, but a
Mhm,
back injury, and that
mhm.
she struggled cleaning. And so she's an amazing person, and I truly enjoyed her, and she was so great. And so I had a position open in the office, and I had always said that it was my goal to get her back because I just loved her personality and her spirit and everything. And so I brought her back into the office and that just, it wasn't her forte and it wasn't a good fit. And, I think we both recognized that. And so thankfully, it was a smooth transition, but it was
Mhm.
unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of times people who are cleaners aren't necessarily going to be able to transition into other roles, it's just not in their skill set or,
Right.
their
Yeah.
ability to communicate or whatever. And that's exactly what happened to me too, is I tried to move somebody into a role that really wasn't a good fit for them. We're still friends, but
Yep.
it wasn't a good fit. So yeah, that is one of the things. But that's often sometimes that's the first step we take is like trying to move someone from the field into an administrative position. But for you, how many people are on your admin team now?
So I have an office manager, and then I recently have a gal that took over a field supervisor position, and then myself.
Okay, so there's 3 of you. And what have you learned, getting that right person in the right seat, that helped you get to where you are now? Um,
I would say that, somebody that you can trust, like I mentioned before, but also going through their background in great detail and knowing that they have the skills needed and the training needed. And, obviously you can always train somebody, but they have to have the right mindset
mhm.
and be willing to learn.
Right. Yeah, like we talk about in, like traction, EOS, they talk about the getting it, the GWC. They get it, they want it, and they have the capacity to do it, right?
Right.
And often people, they get it and they want it, but they don't have the capacity, or they have the capacity, but they don't really want it. Like they have to have all 3 really, like, to fit
Yep.
in that seat.
Yep.
Um, and would you say that, like, technology plays a big role in that too? Like, people being able to use the technology that you're using?
Yes, absolutely. I'm old school, and so we still do a lot of spreadsheets and stuff like that. And so,
I
um,
love spreadsheets, man.
me too. Numbers. I am all like, know your numbers, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
so and having somebody that has at least a little bit of history in that, and knowing what a sheet is and what a tab is, and what,
Yes. Like, you can't teach that to you do not have time to teach someone how to do a spreadsheet or how to use Google, Suite, or, you don't have that kind of time. Like,
Right.
somebody has to come to you with that basic knowledge, and if you hire someone who doesn't have that, you're just gonna be so frustrated.
Yep.
But I see it happen all the time, and I've done it myself.
Hmm. And being part of the pro group and having our cohorts and stuff, that's huge to me. Like being able to bounce things off of people and getting others' opinions, and you're kind of going through the trenches at the same time. And so I've gotten a lot of advice and a lot of support through our group, and that's helped me a ton, especially through these transitions that we're going through.
Yeah, yeah. And, every time you add someone to your admin team, your revenue has to grow to cover that. And a lot of times we have to make that move before our business is ready. Because if we wait until we can hardly hold on anymore to
Yep,
find that person, if it takes a long time to find it, it could be pretty detrimental to our business. So we have to, like, it's an investment that you have to make up front.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's pause here for just a second. We'll come right back. But you just mentioned CBF Pros, which is part of the Ascension program in Cleaning Business Fundamentals. So let's pause here and hear a message from Cleaning Business Fundamentals, and we'll be right back.
Perfect.
Is your cleaning business a grime story? There's no need to stay stuck in the muck because you're not alone. With over 500 active members and more than 500 graduates of our Cleaning Business Fundamentals program, CBF is the #1 cleaning business academy in the world and has created more mop free millionaires than any program in the industry. Learn more and let CBF take your residential cleaning business from a grime story to a gleaming success. Well, welcome back, everybody, to True Grime Stories. We're here with Keely Graves with Keely's Cleaning Crew in Bismarck, North Dakota. And Keely's been sharing about how she's been learning to trust others and build a leadership team in her business. So thank you, Keely, for sharing that.
Yeah.
So we were talking about getting the right people in the right seat and what that investment feels like. When you're doing that for the first time. Like, how did you know? Like, I have got to get another person on my team. You did you say you just recently added somebody?
Yeah, I did have another person in that position, and so she moved on, and so
Mhm.
we just, have reorganized a little bit and figured out different roles and where we needed the help and what that position looks like. So, it
Mhm.
wasn't a new position that we added, but, a new person.
Yeah, right. So not a new position, but a new person. And sometimes people are really scared of that too. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely, it changes everything. It changes the dynamic of the team, and with that position being a field supervisor position, and she's in charge of, the text and communication and things like that, but it's been a good change for us. You get scared when things change, everybody does, but for us, it's been really good, so I'm happy about it.
Well, I'm imagining that it probably brings some fresh energy that you didn't even realize that you needed, you know?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. When new people start in a role, like, they see things differently,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
And it
different
just
perspective.
yeah, a new perspective. And you mentioned you've used the word trust many times, and this is a key thing that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is trusting their business into the hands of others. And like the first few times that you did that, did you just like, okay, I'm just going to do this, like rip off the band-aid, I'm just going to let them have these tasks? Or did you kind of hand over trust in small little pieces as you started to hand off things that you used to do?
I think a little of both, to be honest. I mean, I think it kind of depended on what it was, but I remember the first time, in our groups and stuff, they talk about, having level 10 meetings with your admin crew. And so one thing for us is we just got an office a year ago. Prior to
I
that,
remember when you got your office. Yeah, so exciting.
yeah, so prior to that, we were doing everything remotely and had part-time admin, not any full-time. So, it was kind of the last year we've had a lot of changes, and I really remember the first time we had, like, our level 10 admin meeting and sharing our actual numbers with the admin group, because prior to that, I hadn't really shared where we were at for revenue or, things like that, and so, that was scary to me. Like, they see where you're at and they just assume like, "Oh, you're making bank," and you're like, "No, I'm not."
Not so much, actually.
So, along with sharing those numbers, you have to kind of preface it and be like, "Well, here's our expenses and here's what our payroll is." And, I mean, not direct numbers, but within reason so that they understand that this isn't just all income coming in, there's a lot that goes into it. And, I think that kind of ties back to the CBF stuff that we've talked about. Is
Mhm.
That's one thing that I have really tried working on. Is I've always thought that I knew my numbers, but I knew what we were bringing in. I knew what our expenses were, but when you start talking about acquisition costs and lifetime values and retention rates and how that affects things, like that's a whole nother level of knowing your business.
It is, yeah. First, you kinda have to take those first basic steps of just knowing revenue and payroll numbers and things like that, but then, yeah, diving deeper into it, there are certain numbers that if you can just change them by small percentage points, the compound effect of that over time can mean thousands and thousands of dollars,
Mhm.
in, revenue or profit. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and being part of the CBF has definitely helped me so much in that aspect of my business, and having the coaching and the cohorts and the networking available to just throw something by, and it can be something so simple that somebody else picks up in a heartbeat, but you've
Mhm,
struggled for weeks with
mhm,
it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bonus of being in a community of people who are living very similar life to yours and running a similar business. So Keely is in our CBF Pro Ascension program. That's for business owners whose businesses are at $500,000 or more per year. And the cool thing is inside of that, there's over 100 people. There was a picture of it in the commercial there that when we showed it. There's over 100 people in that program, but it's broken into small groups we call cohorts. So it sounds like you have a pretty good cohort going there.
Yeah, we do a lot together, and it's very helpful. I've made very good connections with many of them.
Yeah, that's so great. It makes such a huge difference. I'm part of a few different cohorts inside of CBF, and I have one in the elite program, and then I have like my statewide group that we share a lot with, and it just not going it alone is so important. Um,
Absolutely,
Entrepreneur doesn't mean by yourself.
no, yes. And it's funny because for 11 years now I've had the cleaning business, and you meet somebody new or you run into an old acquaintance, "Oh, what are you up to?" "Oh, I own a cleaning business." And they're like, "Oh," and they just think it's like something so small. They don't,
You're like,
it's
oh,
hard
isn't
to
that
explain.
cute? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even when you tell them, we clean over 300 houses and we have this many employees and stuff, they still even they're like, "Oh, good for you." But they just don't get it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the people that you and I are meeting in this program, I mean, we run some of the biggest small businesses in the United States. A lot
Mhm.
of, I mean, there are the majority of small businesses in the United States never get over 5 employees. And,
Yeah.
so the fact that, we're running these teams and, running the type of revenue that we are, a lot of people don't realize that, this is big small business. So yeah. No, this is really great. Well, and I love that you brought this up because this is one area like you brought up just sharing your numbers with someone is such a big step. And I do remember that like, okay, here we go. I'm going to
Mhm.
tell them my revenue.
Yep.
And then it becomes just part of what we do. And the really cool thing that I have seen, Keely, is they start to take ownership of those numbers. Like I like to call them entrepreneurs. They're like they take that and they make it their own goal of reaching these different, daily sales numbers or weekly sales numbers. And it's just really exciting to see. Sometimes I feel like, wow, I just need to get out of the way because they are passionate about this and I'm just going to let them go with it. But it's
That's something that we actually took from you, Jeannie, was, in one of the calls that I was on with you, is the daily snapshot for the employees to see, and that has
Mhm,
been helpful too, for them to just see how many jobs we did today, how many texts were working, did anybody call out, so that
mhm.
was fun. It's been fun for them to be a part of that.
Yeah, just and that's like I'm glad you brought that up because everyone in our business can and should have a number or multiple numbers that they're watching that they have control over.
Mhm.
And we just actually recently surveyed our technicians and asked them if they like those reports. And by far, everyone said, oh, yeah, we love them. Keep sending them. They're great. Like, this
Mhm.
really helps us understand what's going on. And it helps them see how they can make a difference.
The one thing that, and I think you had shared this when you had told us about this, but our attendance has been way better since we started that. Like, them seeing they don't wanna be the one on there that called out.
Right.
Like,
Even though we don't name them,
yeah, no,
like,
we don't name them. We don't, but it just has the one or two, well, whatever it is, but they don't wanna be that one on there, so
right. Because they know what, when someone is absent, how that causes everything has to shift that day and you end up going to a house you're not familiar with and all that kind of stuff. So it is great that end of day report, even if it just has one or two numbers on it, can really get your team, your whole team, including your cleaning technicians, dialed in to important numbers that they can impact. So that's another trust thing as well, is you're building trust in both directions, by sharing information with them and then them being able to, trust each other. Like it helps build team trust and all of that.
right.
So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad you brought that up because that is something that we have found to be really impactful too.
yeah.
Okay, so you built this great business. Now you have started building that leadership team, which is so important. And you're at 300 clients. I was reading, you're kind of expanding into other communities around Bismarck. So what does the future hold for Keely and Keely's cleaning crew? What are you hoping for? What's the big goal?
Yeah, I mean, just, I think the biggest thing for me is providing more jobs for those that need it. We really have tried to work with our employees and in their time, and having the flexibility for them has been huge for our business. And so I hope that we can continue to provide jobs for the community and keep growing. I mean, that's the end goal in any small business, right?
Right. If you stop growing, you're dying.
Right.
So, got to keep growing, keep moving forward. And people like to be part of a growing company. It
Yeah.
makes people excited. It helps get everybody excited when we can share those wins. Well, you've definitely got great plans, and you've got, you're surrounding yourself with people and investing in yourself. So, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And we at True Grime Stories, we love to solve those grime scenes, and being able to build a business that gives you that extra time. And the way you do that is by finding the right people in the right seats and then trusting them
Yeah,
with the things that you have to let go of. And sometimes, and I'm sure you found this, they're much better at that thing because they can focus on it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that all the time. So, what's one last piece of advice that you want to share with somebody out there who might be, in the business for over 10 years like you, or maybe just starting out or thinking about starting a cleaning business? What's one thing you wish you would have known?
I've always had a really strong support system, but I would say, my husband is my rock and he is there all the time. So when the lows are low and he is my positivity, I tell you, and find
Oh,
that
that's
person,
great.
find your support because that is going to get you through those low times and help you celebrate the high times because, you have to celebrate the little things, but the big wins are fun to celebrate. And so having somebody to do that with is great.
Oh, that's so great. I love that. And, you know, when you own your own business, it's a family affair.
Mhm,
Right?
absolutely.
Whether they're working in the business with you or not. So that's really cool. What a huge win for you that you have that, support system like that. That's great. What a great share. Well, thank you so much, Keely, for being with us today on True Grime Stories and sharing. This is a great share, and I know it's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you very much, and congratulations on your recent, 3,000 downloads for the pod.
Yeah.
That's very
We're
exciting.
so excited that we're really building some steam, and I'm hearing great things from people. So if you are out there listening today to True Grime Stories, I would love to hear from you. Please, comment, share your reviews. I would love more reviews. But also, if you want to talk about your business and how CBF can help your business grow, you can set up a free call with me. Just click the link in our show notes and be sure to subscribe, download, and share this with somebody you care about who wants to grow their cleaning business. And thanks everybody for joining us today on True Grime Stories. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. That's a wrap on today's episode of True Grime Stories. Thanks for joining us as we investigate the dirty and dangerous world of cleaning business success. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download so you never miss a single mystery. Check out our show notes for links and more information from today's episode, and you can learn more about our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals. See you here next time as we solve another grime story.